The Texas Rangers have actually been better on the road than at home here lately. This is the final home series before the All-Star break, and it's time to get things right on the home front. We talk about it next. It's the DLLS Rangers podcast. So we've said the Rangers have won 4 straight road series. They've lost a couple of home series in a row, including being swept by the Kansas City Royals. This loss of a home series was oh so close, but they didn't get it done. Hi there. Welcome into the DLLS Sports Studios. It's the DLLS Rangers podcast. John Radigan, Jeff Wilson. We got Ryan Waters here with us today hanging out, and Kat is on vacation this week, so Ryan will be with us a couple of times. We'll have John. I think we're going to have Tanner one day. So,
man.
Yeah, we got a smorgasbord of producers and hopefully some decent things to talk about relative to the final 3 games before the All-Star break, the final 3 home games, I should say. And the previous 3 home games didn't quite go as you'd like.
No, and we talked about it in the post-game show yesterday, and they're so close. It seems like in this series, and I thought the teams are pretty much even. And the Rangers, they threw Evaldi in the first game, but not Evaldi just on the comeback trail. The Mariners, on the other hand, threw their guys. They threw Gilbert and Wu and
Castillo.
There you go. I was confused if it was Luis F. or Luis H. Castillo. But anyway, they threw their main guns, and the Rangers didn't get blown out. They showed some fight.
Big time.
All 3 games went to extra
time.
innings. But they also showed the flaws that they've had all season, and now it's Josh Young's turn to be the goat, not the good goat, the bad goat. And he's really had a stinker yesterday, just all around bad. Although he did drive in the game's first run.
That's the amazing thing. Yeah.
But it's what have you done for me lately? And the 3rd inning was, or whatever inning it was, hell, the second, not as good as was much better than the 11th. And boy, you kind of look back at it and you're like, it was just right there.
That was the game. Yeah. That really was the game. And he struck out. And Boch said afterwards, and as Jeff mentioned yesterday, Josh was nowhere to be found after the game. He got out of there quickly. But Boch said afterwards, he knew what he needed to do, and I know he wanted to do it, but just make contact, right? Hit the ball to first base and give Dlls a chance to score. He's going to be going on first contact.
Yeah, I mean, the infield was in, all right, that's fine.
Yeah.
Dlls could have gotten a good jump and just put it in play. Put the ball in play. That's what I tell Henry, my 12-year-old.
Yeah.
Tell his team, it's amazing what happens when you put the ball in play.
Yeah.
And the Mariners would have had to make a play.
Yeah, and we saw it. I mean, we saw it as recently as the Baltimore series. I can't remember if it was the extra innings game, but the infield was drawn in, contact to shortstop, guy scored from third.
Evan Carter came in earlier in the game. Marcus Semien had scored on a similar play.
Yeah,
and the shortstop Gunnar Henderson, who's really good, made a horrible throw.
Yep.
So you never know what's going to happen, and Dlls can run, and even if it's in the infield, if it bounces a couple times, I just we can keep kicking a dead horse here, and Josh is really down for the count, and I'm curious to know what's going to happen with him. This isn't. It's not like it was 2 games. It's been 28 games. In his last 28 games, he's batting .171. He hit his home run Wednesday. Had a nice game Wednesday at Camden Yards. His first home run since May 16th.
Right. 32 games between home runs. Longest drought of his career. Granted, it's a early short career thus far, but still 32 games for a guy who has power, right?
Right.
He can hit it all ball out of the ballpark.
Yeah, so that kind of tells you where things are, and he got his mental break, as Bruce Bochy kindly, politically correct calls it. It's a benching. Josh Young got benched for 2 games.
Yeah.
Just as Adolis Garcia got benched for 4 starts earlier in the month, and Adolis responded well.
He did.
I think he took the messaging well.
Yes. Not sure Josh did.
Not sure Josh did. Just when we talked to him after it was over and when he was inserted back into the lineup, I don't know if he was embarrassed by it or what, but his comments to us collectively as a media pool it didn't seem like he wanted it or felt like he needed it. He would have rather, he said, kept starting and been working on in games the things he was working on. So I don't know what's going to happen this time. But he's clearly, because you throw him the defense yesterday too.
Yes. In
the 12th inning, not getting the out at home. Probably changes how Mitch Garver gets pitched to. Just changes a lot.
It does.
And
it does.
And at that point it's still a tie game.
Right.
That's something else.
That's the other thing. Yeah.
And a young pitcher like Cole Winn, who had never been in that situation before. He pitched so well in the 11th, gave the Rangers a chance. He's probably thinking, all right, we got this one.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden he's like, oh, we don't have
I got to go back out.
Yeah. So just all kinds of things that didn't go well for Josh Young and conversely the Rangers. So I don't know. Do the Rangers look at this and be like, we sent Jake Berger down early in the year to get a handle on him, and he came back and responded well. Josh has minor league options. He can go to the minor leagues. He could get sent down today, be back by the Houston series.
Right.
Maybe it does him some good. Maybe it takes some pressure off. Maybe it sends him a message and wakes him up. And this game is humbling. And if he wasn't humbled by being basically benched by a 4-time World Series manager, then if the message needs to get across, then this is certainly one way to do it.
There's 2 players on this team. I think there's only 2 position players on this team who will be allowed and have been allowed to play through slumps, like a malaise like this. Not that Corey Seager's was even quite this bad, but Marcus Semion's was.
Yeah.
And Marcus Semien was allowed to play through it. And Corey Seager, because everybody kept asking, Boach, when are you going to sit Seager? When are you going to sit Seager after he came back from the injured list? Now the proof is in what Boach said. No, we're going to let him play through it.
Right.
We missed enough time with Corey Seager. We're not missing any more time with Corey Seager. But those are the only 2, and I wonder if maybe in his mind, because Josh has done a lot of things, stepped up in a lot of ways, become much more of a leader on this team, is acting much more like a veteran. None of that guarantees you veteran status.
Tony Barnett, we had him on.
We did.
I missed him this weekend when he was in town. But he wrote in his book, when he came to the major leagues after years in Japan, he was 31, 32, so an older guy. And he was hanging out with relievers his same age.
Mm-hmm.
But he was a rookie, and they had more experience, and he took that for granted. And he said that, looking back, he was a rookie and didn't know things that he thought he did because of the peer group he was hanging with. Josh Young has been with the Rangers since 2022. September 22, makes his debut, homers in his first at bat, all that stuff. He's been injured, obviously. Josh Young has 1,028 at-bats in his career.
Yeah.
Marcus Semien has 6,100 and something.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's one difference why Marcus Semien gets the chance to work this out. On the Corey Seager front, Corey Seager, even though he was struggling and he was hitting below 200 for a pretty long stretch there, the guy was drawing walks.
He was.
Teams still didn't want to pitch to him.
Right.
And they didn't want to pitch to him yesterday. And I was shocked that he got a pitch to hit And it might have been an accident.
He actually got 2 pitches to hit, really.
It might have been an accident because, and we talked, anyway, Josh has, or Corey has 4,100 at bats.
Yeah.
So 4 times the amount as Josh, and Simeon has 6 times the amount of Josh. But we talked about Corey and the walks before the game with Bruce Bochy, and I asked, is this a change in approach or, and he said, yeah, kind of, but, if it's a strike, Corey's swinging the bat.
Right.
He doesn't let strikes go by.
Right.
And he got a 3-1 pitch that was elevated, and he hit it out. But he's like, you let him do whatever he wants, basically.
Yep.
But he has shown, and an understanding of the game situation and what is happening with the lineup. Teams don't want to pitch to him.
No.
And if he gets on base, something good could happen behind him now that Simeon and Garcia are hot. So to sit Corey Seager or Simeon, it's just just not gonna do that. You're not until you have 4 times as many at bats as you do right now. You're not in that. And I'm not saying we're only speculating about what it actually was that had Josh not feeling as maybe not putting his arms around the opportunity he was given to get that mental refresh, right? He just didn't seem to embrace it. And it seems like perhaps there's another one coming and he needs to embrace it, right? Yeah.
And and even if it is, and actually in some ways I think he would do better if it were being sent down, right? Because that's just such a drastic. And his brother's been sent down. His brother's been up and down in Detroit.
Sure,
And
now Josh has played essentially a full season of Major League Baseball.
Right.
In 2023, he was the everyday third baseman. He got hurt in August, came back, participated in the World Series, was effective, won a World Championship. So I mean, it'll sting.
Yep. Oh no, I'm not. Yeah.
It'll hurt, but it should wake him up. It should clear his mind. He's a good player.
Oh, yeah.
He can hit. He has power to all fields. But
he's a good defensive player.
Yeah, but the approach, things that young hitters struggle with, Josh Young is just struggling with. I mean, and to, case in point, compare the at-bat Saturday Marcus Semien had in the 10th inning. All right, he gets ahead 3-1. Munoz throws a fastball, and Semien is comfortable enough to take it.
Yep.
All right. And so Semien could recognize that the 3-1 pitch was a four-seamer, not the sinker that Munoz had been throwing. Munoz keeps throwing four-seamers. Well, Marcus can foul those off all day.
Sure.
And he did, 2 or 3 of them. And then the final pitch was 9 inches outside, let's say.
Yeah.
But he just served it into he didn't take a giant swing.
Nope.
He knew the game situation. He saw where the infielders were. All he had to do was get it to the outfield.
Yeah.
And that's what happened in the
Rangers. It was almost like an Ichiro swing, wasn't it? Right? Yeah. Where he's just kind of like, just get my bat out there and move it forward.
Where was that with Josh Young yesterday? The swings he took were gigantic.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like he was trying to hit a grand slam. Well, guess what? You didn't need to do that.
No, we just need a ground ball to second base.
You needed a fly ball, not even deep into the outfield.
Right.
If he had hit it where those outfielders are playing, Adolis Garcia scores.
Yeah.
Game over, and we're having an entirely different conversation. We're talking about how Josh Young saved his bad weekend.
Yeah.
And now we're talking about, God almighty, this guy needs to maybe go to the minor leagues.
Yeah. Yeah, and obviously, that's going to sting if it happens, but it may get that message very clearly, and maybe that's what is needed, not only for the message sending and receiving, but also, get confidence back. Things like that, right?
Yeah.
Go up against guys who aren't the best in the world, at least not yet, right? And face those minor league pitchers against whom you might have a better opportunity to have success. It worked for Jake Berger. It's worked for countless players over the years. We'll be interested to see what the Rangers decide to do at this point, with Josh Young. And maybe it's just, again, what they did before, and who knows? We'll find out later today.
Yeah. Yeah. Clubhouse will be open in 1 hour and 46 minutes and 12 seconds.
Yeah, look at there.
And
but who's counting?
If there is a move, they will greet us at the door with it. And I'm sure that if it's a big one like this, I'm guessing that Chris Young might address it, or Ross Fencermaker. in addition to Bruce Bochy. So, and I'm not saying it's going to happen. I don't have any insight that it would. And honestly, if I'm betting on it, I'm betting he won't get set down. I think that Bruce Bochy believes in his guys, wants them to keep getting out there and trying, and hopes that belief and confidence in them will instill confidence in them, and they'll go out and perform. There's a left-hander pitching tonight for the Orioles, the same guy, Rogers, who shut the Rangers down a week ago. So maybe that, all these guys had a look at him. Maybe second time around, these at-bats get better. Not sure. But I do think that there's a need to do something with Josh.
Yep.
That goes beyond believing in him. And maybe it's sitting him out for the series, whatever it is, because Thursday's an off day. So he'd get 4 days off to watch baseball games for 3 days, get his head cleared, go to San Diego, have a good off day there, and maybe come back on Friday and get going.
Come back looking like Adolis Garcia did after his extended break. So we got more coming up. There were some positives over the weekend. Heck, Josh Smith has been a positive for the entire month. We'll talk about him. We'll talk about the young guys, and we'll also talk about a little ceremony the Rangers had on Saturday night. It's all coming up. It's the DLLS Rangers podcast.
John, I didn't look to see which one's doing Empire today, but I'm going to go ahead and take it.
Take it, brother.
All right, Empire today, the flooring experts, and you keep hearing me talk about the condition of our floors. Just seems like every day there's a new disaster on the floor, like a dog throwing up or a soda getting spilled, or a tray of ice cubes hitting the ground. And we talk about the traffic from the pool to the bathroom. The kids just won't wipe their feet.
No,
and
they're going to drip anyway.
Yeah. And our kids are now playing some kind of baseball game in the house with hard balls, but I hear the bat scraping across the floor a lot because they're trying to get each other out down in the zone. So we need new floors, and we're going to go to Empire today because if you go to empiretoday.com/DLLS, you get $350 off your new floors. They want to give you the home field advantage, and by that, they're going to come to your house, schedule a free in-home estimate. They're going to help you pick the colors, and they might even come the next day and start the work. empiretoday.com/DLLS. Yeah,
so at the wedding venue business that my wife and I have, we've made it through our busiest season as we've gotten through June. So we get a little break here, and we did lose one of our best. So I think we're going to utilize LinkedIn Jobs. We're going to go out there and see if we can find someone who can help us sort of run the place, if you will. Someone with a little experience in the venue business. That's what we're looking for. That's what we'll find, I'm sure, at LinkedIn Jobs. I may even pay the little premium price. I don't think it's too much to get the best candidates and get it all forwarded for me. That's how you can do it, but you can also put it out there for free and get still really good, really qualified candidates. LinkedIn has so many people in its vast network. You will find the candidates you need for the job you have to post. Simply post your job for free at linkedin.com/Rangers. Okay, so the weekend was still fun despite the 2 extra inning, both 12-inning long game losses. Oh, my God. We're spoiled now. These games.
If you strip away your rooting interest, it was a good weekend of fun weekend of
baseball.
Actually,
and I remember when and I'm watching on TV, and I remember when Josh Young made that leaping play that, in the 11th that helped save things there and held the runner at third and all that. Mike Bassick just goes, "This is fun baseball." And it was. I mean, it was exciting. It was fun. And I think the whole weekend was, the highlights of the weekend were the 2 young pitchers. We'll get to them here momentarily. But then that day, Saturday, and I know you couldn't be there, but to me, to be honest with you, just having a chance to catch up with Mitch Moreland and Craig Gentry and Colby Lewis and Matt Harrison. And I mean, these Adrian Beltre. I mean, these are some of our favorite guys. Even Ryan, who wasn't covering the team like we were, he said, that's one of my favorite teams of all time, And I said, yeah, and believe me, those are some great guys. And anyway, it was great to see him. The ceremony lacked the hijinks that you may have expected with Elvis and Adrian being involved. Although
a few hijinks.
Adrian did mess with Elvis's head right there when he put the Hall of Fame blazer on him. But it was a very heartfelt ceremony. What do we got going on out there?
Sounds like Kat, her boy.
Okay, she got
her head in.
Got Enzo in here, maybe. Yeah. Okay, very good. Anyway, fun weekend. It was great to see Elvis again. Great to talk to him. I mean, we've seen him. He's out there working on various games.
He's working tomorrow night's game, in fact.
Is he? Okay, yeah. So anyway, but he was overwhelmed. He really was, and humble and awesome, just like Elvis always is. And it was great because the one thing I noticed when he walked past the line of former player Hall of Famers, so Pudge and Adrian and even Charlie Huff and Buddy Bell, every guy, like, they didn't just shake his hand, they messed with him. They rubbed his head. They're all, and Elvis is like, and I asked him about it. I said, "That's who you are." Isn't it? Like, right? That's who you are. And he went on about how he really appreciated getting to know the Charlie Huffs and the Buddy Bells of the world. Yeah. He's seen them around, but in the context of this weekend, he got to know them a little better and truly appreciate it. And I loved his comment, and I put it in the story I wrote for DLLS, was that he said, if we would have been teammates together, any or all of those guys, Pudge was one of them too. Any or all of those, if we'd been teammates together in 1980 or in 2000 or today, we'd have all had fun together, right?
Yeah.
Baseball players are baseball players, and that was on full display over the weekend.
Yeah, it's Elvis is. I think Elvis has really. I know he hasn't been retired very long. He hasn't been retired 12 months.
No.
Officially. I know he was out of the game to start last year, but he, I think, has really taken a quick appreciation for what he had.
Yeah.
And realizes, maybe it's because he misses the game or whatever, but realizes that it's not something everybody does.
No.
And where he came from, Venezuela, he wasn't impoverished there or anything, but it's not the United States.
No.
And it takes, the right scout to help you out and all this stuff to get you to the point where you want to be. And, he understands that. And, his father died when he was young, so he had some bumps along the way. But, he became a star here. He's beloved. And, honestly, maybe he took a little bit too much advantage of that. Because he was, shoot, what would you do if you were 20 in the major leagues and good looking?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, maybe he thinks maybe he left something on the table. I don't know, but whatever it is, he's in a great place. It's great to see him every time he's at the ballpark. He understands the game very, very well. He had great instincts defensively and on the bases. And, and as he got older, he started hitting for a little more power, kind of evolved. And then, 2020, I think, kind of changed things around for him. He was hurt. Obviously, it's COVID. He was hurt with the back deal and didn't really get a good send-off. The way he was traded, didn't get a chance to, have a great last season in front of the fans before the trade.
And I really think, Jeff, that the broken wrist was what changed him.
18 for sure. Because he came out on fire.
He did, and he had hit 17 or 18, 19 home runs the year before.
20. He hit
20. Hit 20. And then early in the season, he's on fire, and he gets hit by a pitch and breaks his wrist. And I'm not sure he ever got the power back. And I'm not. I literally think that might be the moment where the whole thing changed.
He'd never been on the injured list.
Yeah.
The only time he hadn't been on the active roster was for the birth of his first son. To that point.
Yep.
That's incredible.
It is.
And so you're probably onto something, and I don't disagree with you. We got Ian with a super chat.
Thank you, Ian.
Very much, Ian. EA not winning a ring is this team's greatest sin.
Yeah. He was close. He was close.
So close. That that 2012-2011 team that John was just talking about with Matt Harrison, who I love. I was able to see him after the luncheon on Friday.
Oh, good.
I saw the whole family. Megan, his wife, the very vocal Megan, that's a good one. Mitch Moreland I saw last year. Apparently he's working out with a football coach and is just like,
oh my God.
Yeah.
But he also, I didn't ask him about this because I hadn't heard, but Eric and Matt were saying he actually played with the Bananas.
Oh, did he really?
He spent a little time last year with the Bananas.
That's pretty funny.
Yeah.
But that, and we can keep going. Derek Holland, who's having his charity golf event today.
Yep.
All kinds of guys from that team, who and this brings another question. Now that Elvis has been inducted, who is the next player? I think the next person from that team is Ron Washington.
Yeah, of course.
I mean, that's a layup.
Yeah, should have been inducted already.
Yeah, and so maybe they're just waiting for him to retire, which might be sooner than later. But who's the next player who will be inducted into the Rangers Hall of Fame? Because they've really got all the old guys.
Think they have.
Will Clark, you could make an argument for.
He's only here 5 years.
He was only here 5 years. Do you say Bobby Witt? Up and down and
yeah, maybe though he was a big part of that '96 team. And of course, earlier than that, he was. He was thought to be a foundational piece when they drafted him third overall from Oklahoma. So it's going to be interesting. Who is going to be the next player? And I'm not sure. Yeah, I'm trying to think if there's any.
It may be Seager or Simeon, honestly, at this point.
Wow. Nah, there's got to be more from that team, from that 10, 11, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13.
Maybe Colby.
Yeah, Colby's a good.
Maybe
because he was also there way back in 03 or whenever they drafted
him in 99, kind of in and out. Rarities is saying Mitch Moreland. I would say no on that one. He never hit more than like 22 or 23 homers in the season.
Great guy, though.
Great guy. Feliz, not long enough. Didn't do it long enough.
No. Any other pitchers on that team that, CJ, no.
I don't think
Holland, no.
I love Harrison, but
he wasn't long enough. The back got him.
Yeah,
who looks great, though? Did you see Colby?
Oh, yeah.
He's lost some weight.
Colby's a machine.
He's unbelievable.
He stayed around town. He's playing in Derek's golf tournament. When he comes in for Do It for Dirt, which is in September, we're going to get Colby to come in here.
Good.
And we'll even make some lunch boxes.
Yeah. Nice. Oh, good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mentioned it to him. I go, dude, the lunchbox. He goes, fire, right? I go, oh my God. Yeah. Yeah. So
anyway, I don't know. We've kind of lost track here, but it is a thought I had. But I think Wash is the next.
Yeah.
The next layup. John Daniels too.
Good point.
I wouldn't shy away from that one.
Yeah, and typically the way it, again, I was on the committee, the selection committee, back when we had one, and the way it was designed is that 1 year there would be a player, 1 year there would be a non-playing person who was worthy of Hall of Fame recognition. So certainly, John Daniels and Ron Washington would be in sort of every other years. So next year could be theoretically a Wash year, then theoretically the following year a player, then theoretically the following year a John Daniels. But anyway, they've also just sort of changed those rules at the end there when John Blake was getting ready to retire. He kind of just went, we're doing this. What happened to our committee? I used to like having lunch with all these guys.
Blake asked about Rusty Greer. Rusty's already in there, I believe.
Yeah.
Rusty is already a Rangers Hall of Famer. Mike Maddox has a good one.
Yeah, Maddox is a good one.
From 9 to 15.
Yeah,
and now he's back. That one makes some sense.
Mm-hmm.
It would help him cut into his brother's lead in the Hall of Fames.
That's right. That's right.
So,
and I would say this to you when you bring up a coach, Ryan, and a good suggestion. I would say there's a lot of Rangers players who would submit to you that Rudy Jaramillo belongs in there.
Yeah.
He was the hitting coach for a long time, and everybody felt like at the time he was the best.
Yeah, and if you're talking about coach longevity, you kind of got to look at Tony Beasley now, because
you do now
on the 15 staff.
Yep.
And I don't know anybody who doesn't like Tony Beasley.
There isn't anybody. How could you not?
If you don't, you have problems.
You've missed out. Okay, so anyway, that wasn't exactly what we were planning to talk about.
I liked it, though.
I did, too. I loved it. And we got more to talk about. We still want to talk about the young guys and the great weekend they had. And speaking of young guys, there are some minor leaguers making news within the Rangers organization, one of whom Jeff predicted. So that's all coming up. It's the DLLS Rangers podcast. And I switch spectacles for a moment to just remind you about the OG Shady Rays I got. Love these OG Shady Rays, and I encourage you to go to shadyrays.com and get you a pair. As I mentioned yesterday, I've had to retire a pair, so now I'm going to get another new pair of Shady Rays, and so I think I end up having 5 different pairs of sunglasses. I know it's ridiculous, but that's how I am. And now 3 of them are going to be Shady Rays, and when those other 2 die, they too will be replaced by the greatness of Shady Rays. Damn near indestructible. I mean, you can bend them, break them. You can, and if you do break them, that is, you get them replaced or either fixed, whatever they'll do. And then even if you lose them, Shady Rays will replace them for you. So I can't stress enough what a great idea it is to go to shadyrays.com. Use the code DLLS and get 35% off your polarized sunglasses.
Look, we're going to talk about our friends at True Fan Travel, because they are going to be the people you go to for the DLLS Cowboys trip to Las Vegas. There's the QR code. Scan it now to get more information. Well, not now. Yeah, now. Whatever. That's fine.
Sure. Yeah.
Just make sure you're watching us on.
You can multitask.
Device. Make sure you're watching us on another device, because we don't want to lose any viewers. But anyway, November 15th through the 18th, DLS has taken over the Strip for an unforgettable weekend in Vegas. You need to be there. The Raiders game, it's a Monday night game on the 17th. 3-night stay at the Mandalay Bay. Game tickets, events with the crew. And how does this work? Book now at truefantravel.com. You don't have to originate from DFW. So Jim Rockford over there, when they do the Rangers trips, guess what? True Fan Travel will take care of you.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
And we're going to do one.
We are.
I want to do the spring training. It's the best.
Yeah, for sure. A spring training trip has to be in the offing, and especially if we ever do get one of the international trips.
Yeah.
Hell, that might be the only way in our current generation that we get to go. So let's figure that out. But anyway,
spring training would be great.
Yeah, spring training would be great. It'd be fantastic. So let's keep talking about the weekend that was, because it did feature 2. I think in some ways, we said yesterday, Jack Leiter probably had his best start. You can argue that Cincinnati game, which was also very good, and in somewhat suspect conditions early in the season up there,
and with a blister.
Yeah, and a blister. That's right. Yesterday was perfect conditions and really damn near perfection from Jack Leiter. And the night before, his Vanderbilt buddy, Kumar Rocker, did almost the same thing. Jack's numbers a little bit better than Kumar's were, but it was a real step forward, I thought, for Leiter, in the sense that he'd had a few games in a row, Jeff, where it seemed like he was taking half a step or maybe more backwards. Right. And for Rocker, it's pretty much been 3 steps forward since he came back from his minor league assignment.
He got a wake-up call, Rocker did.
Mm-hmm.
That terrible inning there in Tampa where we all know.
Yeah.
On covering the base and brain farting.
And then forgetting that a guy could score from third. Yeah.
And I thought it was pretty funny how the other day in his start, there was a similar situation. He got his butt to first base and turned around because there's a runner on second coming around third. So, again, wake-up calls. And an inexperienced guy.
Right.
A guy who's been on the baseball landscape really since 2018 when he was in high school still. This is his rookie season, I guess his first full season, and he's just now approaching 100 career professional innings.
Wow.
So many expectations pressed into duty, I think, because of the injuries to Bradford and Gray. Leiter, though, you're right. You could watch his starts, and you could see how just some wild misses within at bats, the inability to put away hitters, something that he talked about last night and or yesterday afternoon. I guess it was evening. We'll go evening, and so it was a step forward for him, and hopefully it's something that he takes forward, and can repeat and recognize that that's the formula. And, he had it in Cincinnati, and then he was out. And, if you're dealing with the blister and it's, you're throwing with a Band-Aid on in between starts.
Glue over it,
and all that stuff. Maybe that can affect you and make you start thinking about other things as some things go haywire. But what he did yesterday is what he needs to do going forward. And you hope he can, because, Malley is not throwing. And we hadn't had an update on him. And so I asked Boch about it yesterday. He's like, no update. He's still not throwing. I was like, well, okay. John Gray is going to throw live batting practice Wednesday and maybe go out on a rehab assignment then. But that's still, to get stretched out, you're talking early August, maybe late July.
Yeah.
And so
right after the break, maybe.
Really, your starting depth is Jacob Latz, who had been sick the last couple days, felt better yesterday, pitched, but he just kind of ran out of gas. I mean, Mike Maddox went out to check on him, and Mike Maddox is the one who made the decision.
You're done, son. Yeah.
And a leeway that Bruce Bochy gives to Maddox. So, but that's your starting depth, Latz and Dunning. So you're kind of in a real tough spot here until Gray gets back, or until somebody's added, let's say theoretically at the trade deadline. So anyway, and for these two young guys to be doing it, that's good. It's good going forward, because the Rangers are going to have openings in the rotation that they're going to feel good about. They have two guys who are cost effective. So if they don't re-sign Malley, if they don't re-sign Gray, well, that's $30.5 million.
Yeah.
If they don't re-sign Corbin, that's $31.5 million. But the fact of the matter is, you're replacing that with about $1.6 million in salary. And
right.
Boy, you can take that leftover $30 million and do a lot of stuff.
Yeah, there's a lot you can do with that, no doubt about it. And yeah, Blake, you're right. Leiter was having issues because he'd get ahead in the counts, and he acknowledged it, and then he couldn't put the guy away. He did that, though, yesterday. He was having that issue.
Yeah.
And he addressed it. He had a career-high 7 strikeouts yesterday. So you've got to love the way those guys are going. Remember, we had T.R. Sullivan on, the bastion of Rangers knowledge and experience, and his thought at the time was, it's not like he's throwing the towel in on everything else this season, but to him, the season is about Leiter and Rocker taking these steps forward, right? That's the season. And in some ways, we see you in there saying they're toast, they're over, they're done. They're never going to say that. They never will feel that until it's true. However, if it is done, right, then it becomes even more important to make sure that these guys get that developmental step.
Yeah, 100%. And, we all know about the Rangers' history developing pitchers. And they, Jack has had his time in the minor leagues. He's had 3 full seasons in the minors. Kumar has not. And so this is a tricky one, very tricky. And again, it's, things like not covering first base and not paying attention to the game.
Sure.
I thought he did a better job holding runners in this last game. Something else the Rangers wanted him to focus on. There's a lot that goes into a major league game that he never had to experience really at Vanderbilt.
No,
because he was so good.
Yeah. And really, even in the minor leagues, he was so dominant. Yeah. He was striking everybody out. They couldn't touch him.
He didn't have base runners.
Yeah.
So, anyway, so some young guys. Let's get to
so you predicted this was coming, and it did.
We got some Benny. Benny has some questions about the farm system in the draft that we'll get.
We'll get to those too. Yep. But Cole Drake is moved up to AAA, just like you kind of predicted he would.
Yeah, I was told a couple weeks ago it was going to happen in a couple weeks, and by God, it has happened. I felt that he and Mitch Bratt were both due for a promotion. I was told Drake would be first, And he is. They're different pitchers. Cole's more of a power guy, and maybe that portends to him having a better career or a better chance at the majors in the Rangers' mind, or getting there sooner. I wouldn't sleep on Mitch Bratt because he just knows how to pitch and get outs. But yeah, I mean, it's a lefty. All right,
yeah.
You'd like to have a lefty especially with Cody Bradford not going to be available next year or for a lot of the year. I'm not saying that Cole Drake's going to break with the team next year, but I do think that he's on his way.
If he's at AAA, he's got a chance, right?
He's really good. He is, and he's a local kid. And
like Wiley. I think he's from Wiley.
In that area.
Yeah,
he'd been living at home with his folks. We had him on the weekly show not that long ago, and so he's going to have to find a roommate down there in Austin. I do not know, Jeremy, when he is scheduled to pitch, but he's been pitching Wednesdays for Frisco, or Tuesdays. He's been pitching early in the week, so keep your eyes open for that.
Make the trip down to Round Rock. Yeah,
for sure.
Fantastic. Yeah, so good news for him, and probably, hopefully, for the organization to have another pitcher developing, and a lefty at that. Sebastian Walcott, in probably the least surprising news of the day, is going to be a part of the MLB Futures game at the All-Star festivities, Jeff, in Atlanta.
Yeah, a little surprised he's the only Rangers.
Yes, I agree.
Selected. Maybe they want to be careful with their pitchers or something. I would have thought Cole Drake or Mitch Bratt would have been good options.
And remember, last year there were two. Were both those guys? Were both Teodo and
there were three: Teodo, Santos, and Walcott. And maybe they got a third because they were the host team. Not sure, but Walcott ended up being in that skills competition afterward. Teodo was lights out.
Yeah, first
two innings, 2 perfect innings. He came in. Santos came in. I think he pitched the 8th and was up to 98. Santos is in Arizona, still recovering from his back injury, so he's not really doing much of anything. So anyway, all right, Benny questions. Not that one, but he asked about any updates on Alejandro Rosario.
Yeah.
And this is an ongoing saga which the Rangers refuse to talk about.
Strange one.
It's strange. He has not had his surgery yet. The plan is still for him to have the surgery. We're now approaching 5 months since they discovered he needs to have Tommy John surgery. So all I've been told is it's nothing like anybody has ever experienced before in the organization. I sent Alejandro a text not that long ago. He's like, we're just working on some things. Everything's great. He is such a nice young man. It's unbelievable how nice he is. So we'll see about that one. Hopefully there's resolution
Again, we know that it's 12 plus months. I mean, and so you hate that he's waiting.
I've heard something called, there's now a prehab. You rehab before the surgery. I don't know. I'm as eager as you guys are to find out about that. Also on the draft, on the heels of the NBA draft and the NHL draft, the MLB draft is 2 weeks away, and less than 2 weeks. 2 weeks from yesterday? Yeah, 2 weeks
from
yesterday.
It's Sunday. Yep, that's right.
The Rangers, they're picking 12th, so they're going to get a good player. It'll be he will end up as one of their top 5 prospects. Baseball America, the fine people there. I say that because they pay me occasionally. Kyson Witherspoon, the right-hander from Oklahoma, is who they have in their
high school kid or college
in their 5th mock draft. I'm anticipating at least 2 more.
Okay.
What's the over/under on mocks? 7 or 8?
Yeah, anyway, I'd take the over if you're saying there's only going to be 7. Yeah.
Yeah, but I guess I haven't seen who wrote this. I'm guessing Carlos, but he says, I hear the Rangers connected with bats more than pitchers. Names like Ike Irish, who Benny likes, from Auburn, the catcher/outfielder, Billy Carlson, Steele Hall, Daniel Pierce, Merrick Houston, Xavier Nayans, or Gavin Kylan, sorry, one of the two. Of that group, just kind of going from what the Rangers have done in the draft lately, I would go with Kylan, or Killen, however the hell he says it.
Yeah.
He's a second baseman from Tennessee.
Okay.
So he's a college sharpened second baseman. And I know you don't draft for need in the major league draft, but Marcus Semien isn't going to play forever.
Right.
And he is going to be he is already past the midway point on his 7-year contract. I think there's 2 years left after this one.
Wow.
Right, 22, 23, 24, 25. So
Yeah.
3 years left after this one. So maybe there. Kelly Mann asked, what about another catcher? They are thin there.
Yeah.
And maybe they think
you always need another
Irish
catcher.
could be a catcher. Because Jonah's going to be in his second year of arbitration at this point. Higashioka has one more year in his deal. And the Rangers are thin at catcher. There's just, they have a gap. I know a lot of guys like Cooper Johnson defensively, not sure he's going to hit. And then Malcolm Moore. So, you're going to see a lot of, Tucker Barnharts and Chad Wallachs and,
that's right.
and the bunch. Even though they're not in the organization anymore, you're going to see a lot of that.
Yeah.
So, Benny, I hope I got to all your questions.
All right, we'll try to get to more if we see them. We come back and we do our cleanup segment and do try to catch up with you in the chat next. It's the DLLS Rangers podcast. Hey, and how about the merch? Store.allcitynetwork.com. That's the place to go to get our merchandise. I really like this DLLS T-shirt that I'm wearing. There's some new ones. We know for a fact we've ordered our new ones from the new batch. It hasn't been released yet, but we will let you know. And there's going to be a little bit of fanfare, lack of a better word, on social media when we do get to this new batch, at least as it pertains to the Rangers shirts. And you're going to want one. I don't think there's any doubt. It's the one Jeff and I have already ordered, and we'll be modeling it very soon. So anyway, that is what you can do. You can also get the various other things that we have. There's, hoodies if you're going up north for any reason. There are all kinds of T-shirts for all of our teams. Go to store.allcitynetwork.com and get yourself any of the merchandise that's available there, including flags and shot glasses and coffee mugs and those kind of things. We'd appreciate you supporting DLLS.
Speaking of flag, now that Cooper flag is with the Mavericks, we have a Mavericks shirt that is it's called Flag Captured, and it's a dude on a horse with a Texas flag.
Nice.
So that's kind of our Cooper flag themed shirt. Anyway, you get to pick one for free if you become a diehard at alldls.com/join. Even though we're not really promoting the $36 a year promo that was in conjunction with the drafts last week, it's still live.
It's there, yeah.
So god dang it, take advantage of it. Scan that QR code or go to alldls.com/join. You really are getting premium stuff from experienced writers, and it's just good. And people are like, well, how can you come to these conclusions? Well, because I've been doing this for almost 20 years. Same thing with Clarence. And, Tim's been around, and Sam knows the NHL. So become a diehard today. Yep.
We'd appreciate that. We also appreciate you being here with us. We'll get to more questions momentarily. News from the Houston Astros, who, by the way, all of a sudden, don't look now, but they're the only one of only 3 teams yet 50 or more wins. They have the second best record in the American League, the second best or third best overall, I guess, because the Dodgers have 53. So anyway, keep an eye on them. But they were also dealt a dose of bad news yesterday. Jeremy Pena is out with a fractured rib. Right now they're saying 10 days. I imagine it's going to be longer than that with a rib.
Yeah, those things. I hurt my back. I had a little fracture about 16 years ago on September 29th, if you want to celebrate the anniversary. And that was a mental thing, but you never realize how much your back is involved.
Right.
Same thing with the ribs.
Ribs.
I mean, what goes in and out when you breathe?
Yeah, your rib cage.
So I would imagine that this is a delicate one. I know Chris Sale is trying to pitch with broken ribs or thinks he's going to be okay. God bless him. I can't. I've never broken a rib. My mom. Here's a good trivia. Here's a fun Wilson family fact. She's little. She's like 5 feet tall, and when she was pregnant with me at the 7-month mark, so I was a big baby. she got pneumonia.
Oh, boy.
And the coughing and the sneezing, she broke 2 ribs.
No kidding.
Yeah. And so I guess they mended. I don't know. Delivery, broke them again. So, God bless my mother for that, but I don't wish broken ribs.
You're pretty damn good to her on Mother's Day, I reckon, because of all that. Yeah, good for you. I have never had a broken rib, but I got diagnosed with a tear, one of the ligaments in there, and you can't breathe, you can't laugh, you can't sneeze. Right. I mean, it's you can't lay down on it. It's really hard, and it took a couple of weeks with just whatever that would bruise, whatever it was that I had. So. Anyway, yeah, I don't wish that on anybody. It's very, very difficult. I didn't know there was a team in Major League Baseball that does this, but they do in Toronto, Jeff. They hosted recently their annual Cricket Day, where they pay tribute to the only other sport that uses a bat and a ball and is sort of a distant relative, if you will, of baseball.
Yeah, I would assume there's a big population in Toronto, a very diverse city of people where cricket is big. So India, Indonesia, Australia,
Great Britain.
Great Britain. So, Grand Prairie is one of the 2 headquarters for the professional soccer or cricket. Major League Cricket that launched a few years ago. And the championships are coming up in maybe this week. They start this week in Grand Prairie. So if you want to go down there and check out some cricket,
it's at that ballpark that's by the.
It used to be the Airhogs.
Yeah, it used to be Airhogs.
Now it's a cricket stadium.
That's cool. Yeah, I think that's worth checking out, even for just the novelty of it. But Toronto celebrated that this weekend. How about this little bit of history made at Busch Stadium this weekend when Michael Busch of the Cubs, their first baseman, hit a home run. The first Busch ever to hit a home run in the history of Busch Stadium, which dates all the way back to, I think, the 30s when they changed it from Sportsman's Field or whatever. Sportsman Park.
Now, is that Busch, B-U-S-C-H?
They said any spelling.
Any spelling. All right.
Any spelling of it. But, Michael Busch does spell it the same way that Augie and Anheuser and all them other ones do. But, so anyway, so Michael Busch. And then the MLB, it was Sarah Lang, kind of did a deep dive on all the different teams' names, stadium names of if a guy had hit a home run there. And she went all the way back to Briggs Field in Detroit, which is what it was. And there was a Briggs here or there. And then she found some at Camden Yards, for example. Okay. She found some Camruns and some Cams, things like that. But, so most of them have had some derivation of the Miller Park, it was only, it's not called that anymore in Milwaukee, but there were several Millers, including Bill, Mueller, but it's said Miller, so.
Didn't Damian Miller play for the Brewers?
He did, and he had 10 or 12.
Bill, So, probably no Jim Ballpark or any variation of that, or Bob Globe.
No globes, no ballpark. What was that silly? Ameriquest. Yeah, that was
Jimmy Ameriquest.
Ameriquest Field with a bell out there in left field. What the hell was that? Okay, so anyway, that was kind of cool. Shohei Ohtani, as we've said, pitching on a limited basis, and yet in his most recent start, Jeff, he threw the fastest pitch he's thrown, 101.7 miles an hour.
Well, these guys always come back stronger. That's what they say. I'm still surprised this is how they're building them back up. But, hey, whatever works, and the Dodgers always run through pitchers, so probably only a matter of time till he's on the injured list from pitching, as long as he can hit.
Yeah. But
I still think he's got a short shelf life on the pitching.
As do so many former players. They all think he's just not going to be able to do this both for very long. And yet he already has. But he has had Tommy John surgery too. So twice. Yeah. Twice since he's been here, right? Yeah. So, that's a tough one. We'll see how that plays out. And then the last thing on the notes, and we'll get back over to the chat. Chase Mydra rookie for the White
Sox.
Sox. Did you see the slide? He's figured out a new way to avoid the tag at second base on a steal.
No, I haven't.
This is amazing. And of course, you know,
we can't show the video.
No, we can't show it. But you go look it up. But you know, the hand slide, the spin out kind of slide with your hand over there. I mean, there's been a lot of different ways that people have back in the day, everybody just went feet first, and that's what they did. Now there's so many. You try to leap over, you try to go under, you try to be crafty, a little sleight of hand. Chase Meidroth. Now this is it worked. I mean, they called him out originally and they reviewed it, and he clearly was safe. But this is the kind of thing that actually could help or force broken ankles, because what he did is he slides and he stopped with his cleat just before the bag and pulled it forward. The tag came in and it missed his leg, and then he touched the base.
Well, okay. Yeah. It sounds like a
broken ankle.
Yeah.
It sounds like a broken ankle waiting to happen. But, he was proud of his new technique. And anyway, it worked at least for one steal.
Our guy, Alejandro Osuna, had a nifty slide
yes.
there. Whatever inning that was, the ninth last night.
Yeah, I thought so too.
Yeah.
I thought so too.
Yeah.
And speaking of that, Mike Bassick did praise him. What play was it where he was running to back up third? I don't have my book with me, but anyway, he was marveling that a young guy would be that sort of advanced, that he knew the pitcher couldn't back up third. I think it might have been on a dribbler over there to the right side. And so he ran over to try and back up third, which ultimately became unnecessary. But that's baseball instinct, right? And it's baseball IQ.
The kid can play.
Yeah.
He's a really good, really good defensive player. So that's, he's a good base runner. And he put a charge into a couple balls yesterday. And he hit one foul at Baltimore that would have gone onto Utah Street had it been fair. So he's the more he's going to play, the more he plays, the better he's getting.
Sure.
And that's great.
And that is good, because that's not always easy to do at the major league level, right? The game is so humbling that sometimes guys get up here, somewhat prematurely, and you'd have to say Osuna's up here prematurely, but he's improving and getting better at the big league level, and that's huge.
Yeah, and the Rangers fell in love with him at spring training, and you're seeing why.
Yep.
And I know it's the numbers aren't there necessarily, but if you watch the game, you can tell that this guy can play.
Yeah, no doubt about that. And so I was looking to see, as a text, Jim Rockford asks, has a Tex ever hit a home run in Texas? Well, certainly Mark Teixeira has.
Yeah.
But that was never the name of the stadium. But it's a good question, and there probably were other Texas that did that other than just Mark Teixeira. So anyway, that name came up for me today. We're working on a little project that you guys are going to have fun with. All-Star Week. We're going to get into some what ifs, and I think it's going to be a fun project, Jeff.
Yeah, I do too. I've got to come up with my list, but some more on the Kimbrel, Craig Kimbrel.
Yeah.
I don't know, guys. His numbers are okay. He hasn't had a lot of innings, so his ERA is probably a little bit higher. But he has given up some runs. It all comes down to the velocity and what the stuff's doing. And if it's not doing what it needs to do, the Rangers aren't going to promote him. It's pretty much that simple. And he has gotten up to almost 93, 94. That's his top velocity. Probably needs to be a little bit better than that, but he is a veteran guy, as we all know. Hall of Fame trajectory for a while there. Save wise, he has more saves, I think, than a couple Hall of Fame closers. So we'll see how that one works out. But I don't know if I want to see it or not. I'm like,
I know. Well, I mean, again, if he gets that velo up a little bit more, you want to see it, you want to try it. But in the short term, the bullpen ain't the problem, right?
Yeah.
It's not. Right. Robert Garcia has done a fine job. The rest of that bullpen's numbers are favorable, ranked favorably with the rest of the bullpens in Major League Baseball. So the bullpen really is not the problem right now, nor is the rotation, despite the fact that it's very thin, relatively speaking, right now. The problem remains the same. The Rangers aren't scoring enough. So hopefully they will begin to do that again tonight. They scored relatively well against the Orioles other than one game the other night. They've had some 4-run comebacks lately, including against the Orioles and game 1 against the Mariners. So maybe we're seeing signs. We'll hope so. And tonight it's Patrick Corbin on the mound for the Rangers. Don't forget, tomorrow night it's Jacob deGrom. It's deGrom Day, followed by Nathan Eovaldi on Wednesday. The final 3 before the All-Star break, at least the final 3 home games. They've got a 10-game road tripper. I don't know if it's 9 or 10 games. It's 10 days, 3 cities. And that will be the last few games before the actual All-Star break. So anyway, that's going to do it for us. We appreciate you hanging out with us today, as always, and we will see you again tomorrow at 1 o'clock for another edition of the DLLS Rangers podcast.
We all silly like the mayor.